It's Michael Riley, ABA appliance. I'm gonna do something. Use AL822. I make these evaporators. I was using Muggy Weld before. The temperature on it is to remelt to get soft is 350 degrees. It's just too low on these evaporators. I mean, you can use heat absorption paste and that worked great. But I'd like to raise that temperature up so that techs are so used to not using on refrigerators, domestic refrigeration. I hate to call it refrigeration because it means a whole different thing. But on domestic refrigerators, sealed systems, we don't typically use heat absorption paste. It's a commercial thing. It's a heating and air conditioning HVAC thing. To block the heat. And it's usually used around reversing valves, expansion valves, anything that has like plastic parts or seals in it that you don't want it to get too hot. If you're not familiar, so we don't usually use it in domestic refrigerators because we don't deal with that. We have a capillary tube. We don't have an expansion valve. There's no reversing valves, that kind of thing. So usually techs will just braze and they don't worry about how far the heat travels, and which is really a concern because they really should worry about that, and that's why so much of this carbon's getting built up because oxyacetylene, wrong torch. I know you hear me keep saying it, but it's true. It's 3,000, 6,000 degrees. What are you using it on domestic refrigerators with capillary and quarter-inch and 5/16 tubes for? There's no reason for it. It's overkill and it's damaging the tubes and everything else. So, air acetylene turbo torch is the proper torch. There's another video that I did. 20 seconds. If guys are talking, it's not hot enough. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's perfect temperature actually, 1700 degrees, and the flowing of the solder is somewhere around 1500 degrees, so it's perfect temperature. It's perfect. I mean, it just flows the solder and you're off it in 20 seconds, just like the video I made proof. But anyways, this is aluminum to copper, and so I'm going to be using AL822. This is a no longer available evaporator that I manufacture for SubZero refrigerators. SubZero is trying to force new sales, making stuff unavailable. So I'm kind of making these parts so that customers can do what they want. It's kind of irritating SubZero, but that's okay. We have a right to do the service, and customers have a right to have a repair done. I make restoration kits for these older units and sell them actually worldwide. I've got one in England I'm sending out here shortly. But so if you're a service company, contact me, and if you have somebody in your area that gets a hold of me and I sell them a restoration kit, I can contact you and have you do the installation if you want. Basically, it's laborers. I typically somewhere between $1,200 and $2,000. Anyway, so I'm going to be doing this. It's usually I use a number 8 tip. That's this one here. I'm going to be using the number 3. You can see how much smaller it is. Number 3 tip. Okay. And that's an old one there. A4 turbo torch. That's number 8 tip. Or that was A8. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. And then A3. There's your 2 tips there. You can see the difference. A lot smaller. So that cuts the temperature down. And when I'm doing this aluminum evaporator here, this is what I call a 4-loop, 25-inch 4-loop evaporator. So I'll be doing these joints here, aluminum to copper. You can see how clean it is already. I already cleaned it up. Same thing here. I'll be doing both of those, and this should take just 2 seconds to do, because the tip gets it gets hot quick, but it's a good temperature. It's not too hot, and then it flows the solder. And before with the Muggy Weld, I was actually having to heat it up with the. I didn't like using a torch. You can use propane or something, but I used a heat gun, and it worked great. But it just takes a little bit longer, about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Yeah, I know, it's like using a microwave instead of an oven. This is I just going to feel better because this temperature on this joint is going to be 900 degrees. That it will soften and melt. So that gives a big leeway between 350, 550 degrees hotter that it can tolerate. So these techs will feel more comfortable. You still really need to use heat absorption paste just to make sure that you don't overheat the joint and get it soft and it cracks. And then it leaks. And then you say, oh, it leaks. And yeah, well, you overheated it. So anyways, I'm going to do this right now. And I'm going to keep it down here so you can see the actual brazing itself. Okay, so the nice thing about these is that you don't have to mess around like you do with oxyacetylene, adjusting anything, popping, soot. You just turn it on and oh, there you go. Let me grab my AL822 here. It's I'm sorry, I keep saying AL822, AL822. I think you all knew what I meant. AL822. Lucas. They make most of a lot of solders. There you go. AL822. Okay, so there's your it's about an eighth. Okay, go ahead and see how quick you like the torch. No messing around like you do on oxyacetylene. Adjust that flame down. I don't need much. Heat on there. $900 on 900 degrees. Just want to heat this. This got flex in it. I'm this is the second time I've used it, so I'm a little bit afraid of getting it too hot. So that's why I was pulling it off and everything, but as you can see, let's get this out so we can get it focused again. It looks like a normal braze. Just fill the gap. Nice and clean. No globs hanging over or anything like that. Just a nice and clean joint. Just filled the gap. Okay, so that's AL822, and then I'll go and do the other one there. Flip it over and do the other one. I always like to have the joint sitting down so it sucks it into it rather than sideways, because then it pools on the bottom. You don't want to do that. Always, if you can, try to do it where it's going to go down into the joint. Okay, all right. Okay, there's the second joint. My camera shut off on me while I was doing it, but you can see it's just down into the gap. I mean, it's just beautiful the way this AL822 works. So, good stuff. I recommend it. 900 degrees solidus temperature, so it won't melt until it gets 900 degrees, which is a lot hotter than Muggy Weld. Muggy Weld's 350. Okay, all right. Once again, it's Michael Riley, ABA Appliance, and this is one of my evaporators that I make. Not available anymore. This is a 4-loop 25-inch. I think it's a 201R that it goes on. Okay, all right. Take care. Any questions, let me know. Thank you.